It was a full moon last night, so we're going to do a bit of a moon-centered class. We're going to do some moon salutations instead of some sun salutations. And hopefully my hair will stay whatever. Okay. Go ahead and close your eyes. Just turn inward and try to focus in on your breath. Full moon is about self-care, reflection, and connecting to nature. So see if you can find a nice comfortable shape inside your body. Check in with your hips, make sure they're nice and relaxed. Check in with your knees, make sure they're below your hips. As close as you can get. Check in with your spine, make sure it's nice and tall. You can pretend there's a string pulling up on the crown of your head. From here, go to the back of your neck and just imagine your spine relaxing down, moving to your shoulders, letting your shoulders release down. And see if you can listen to your body tonight and maybe not do everything I say, or maybe do more than what I say, just based on how you're feeling today and how you're feeling in your body. I went to a class on Friday night and I used a lot of props, and I can't say enough good things about props. And I can't say enough good things about blocks. And I love blocks so much because I can't always get into every shape. But if my arms are a little longer because I have a block, it's a lot easier. Having said that, I might reference my blocks a lot tonight, but you can use a book or nothing if you just are comfortable. Whatever you want to do is fine. I just don't want anybody feeling like I mean for you to get blocks. I just really like my blocks. From here, see if you can clear your mind. If you can take any negative self-talk and turn it around into positive talk, or just let it go. You can feel yourself rooted down into the ground. See if you can reach that spine just a little bit taller into the sky. Press those hips just a little bit further down. We'll do 5 rounds of goddess breath from here. Goddess breath, sorry, lion's breath. I do lion's breath and goddess pose, so it reminds me of a lot of goddess poses that we're going to be doing tonight. So go ahead and inhale through your nostril and exhale out through your nostrils. Inhaling again through your nostril. This time we'll exhale out through the mouth and stick out your tongue as you exhale. Inhaling in through your nose Exhaling out through your mouth. 3 more like that. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling here. Exhaling. 1 more. And breathe normally. See if that caused you to hold any tension anywhere. See if you can release it, maybe in your knees or your hips, maybe your jaw, maybe your back. Before we start moving, I want you to just take a moment to make some sort of positive affirmation to yourself. It can be anything you want to tell yourself right now. It can be I am enough. It can be I am loved. It can be I'm going to do great in this yoga class. It can be I'm not going to do so great in this yoga class. Then that's okay. Whatever you want to say. And when you're ready, we'll gently open the eyes. We'll bring our hands into a nice cartoon cactus pose. Inhale, bring your shoulder blades together nice and tight. Exhale, release your shoulder blades out. You can rotate your pinkies so that they're forward. Maybe reach them towards each other. Then from here, we'll stretch into the air and then down to the right side, placing your right hand on the mat, reaching through your left arm, pressing that left sit bone against the mat so you can feel the stretch in your side, feel the stretch in your rib muscles. If you're feeling your shoulder try to attack your ear here like mine is, you can always release that shoulder down. Maybe make sure that elbow is in line with the shoulder. From here, we're just going to fall forward and gently move over whatever way you want to the other side. We've got our opposite hand on the ground. And from here, we'll reach back into that pose, noting that it might take a little bit different effort this time. Maybe we need to press down into the hip a little bit more. Reach that shoulder away from the ear, reaching out through the fingers. From here, we'll reach back up into the air. Take your right hand on your left wrist and reach your left arm over top. This is called crescent. This is half crescent. Return to the center, switch the crossing of the arms, grab that opposite wrist and pull that arm over top. Again, finding that stretch in those rib muscles. And when you're ready, we'll bring our arms back to center front and just gently fold forward. You can roll in the back. You can have a nice bend in your back. You can release your sacrum maybe down towards the mat. You can support yourself with your fingertips or your hands. Just a nice, gentle forward fold. And on your next inhale, we'll come back to a seated position and we'll go ahead and make our way into tabletop pose. Placing your knees underneath your hips, hands underneath your shoulders. See if you can press the tops of your feet into the mat. See if you can press your shins and knees into the mat. From here, we'll do a couple rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling in cow pose, dropping those udders down, shining that chest forward. Exhaling, rounding in the back here, dropping the neck down. Option to tuck those toes under. Really imagine a cat stretching in the back. Try to imitate that same shape. Exhaling all the air out. And then inhaling back up, tops of the feet back to the mat, shining that chest forward, dropping that udder down. Exhaling, folding in half, rounding in that spine, tucking those toes under if you'd like. Checking in with the neck, nodding yes, shaking your head no, making sure you're nice and balanced. Release the top of the feet, come back into cow pose. And exhaling into cat. Go ahead and continue this movement at your own pace and your own breath for a few more breaths. You can also begin to make S and C curves in the spine if that's comfortable for you. When you're ready to come to stillness, we'll come back to a tabletop, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. We're going to lift the knees into the air and just give yourself a little ankle stretch. Knees can be an inch off the ground. They can be 12 inches off the ground, whatever you prefer. When you've had enough of that, you can release your knees back down. This time we'll tuck the toes under, release the bum towards the ankles. If you'd like, you can walk up on your hands, or you can just sit there and press those toes underneath. From here, you can either come back into your tabletop, or you can just press those toes into the ground and press back into downward facing dog. Your feet can be as wide apart or as narrow as you'd like. You can begin by pedaling out through the feet, stretching out the calves here. When you're ready, we'll come up onto the balls of the feet, lifting those heels nice and high into the air on it. Inhale. And then exhale, pulling those heels down to the mat, pressing the hips back into the back corner of the room. And inhaling here in downward facing dog. On your next inhale, lift the right leg into the air, three-legged dog. Reach that leg straight back behind you, breathing here. Checking in with your hips, making sure they're still square and your weight isn't equal in both. Make sure you're not opening those hips up yet. When you're ready, bend that knee and bring that heel towards your bottom. You can point your toe if you'd like. You can lift your knee if that helps. When you're ready, open those hips up. Breathe here. You can introduce some movement into your ankles, into your shins, into your hip. You can drop that foot back behind you and lift your arm into the air for rock star pose if you'd like. Or you can just feel the shape. On your next exhale, you take that foot and swing it all the way up in between your hands. Help it if you need to. Coming into a low lunge. Just feeling the shape of the low lunge. And kick that front foot back to meet the back, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, let's lift the left leg into the air, three-legged dog. Breathing here, stretching that leg back behind you. Checking in with those hips, making sure they're still square. On your next exhale, bend that knee, bring that heel towards your bum. You can point your toe if you'd like. You can lift your knee if that helps. On your next inhale, you can open those hips up. You can drop that leg back behind you and lift your arm in the air for rock star pose if you'd like. Or you can just feel the shape. On your next exhale, we'll take that foot and swing it all the way up in between the hands. Help it if you need to. And just rest in your low lunge, having that knee over top your ankle. When you're ready, we'll kick that front foot back to meet the back for a downward facing dog. Check in with your feet. Make sure they're hips width distance apart. Pull those heels down to the mat. On your next inhale, we'll roll forward to plank pose. Breathing in plank. On your next exhale, pressing back to downward facing dog. Checking in with those heels, pulling them down towards the mat. On your next inhale, we'll roll forward to plank. Drop your knees, chest and chin to the mat. You can roll forward for cobra. And on your next exhale, pressing back to downward facing dog. Breathing 5 breaths in down dog or child's pose, whatever's more available to you. When you're ready, we'll go ahead and step to the front of the mat. And instead of sun salutations today, we're going to do moon salutations. So where sun salutations are imitating the rise and the setting of the sun up and down on the mat, we're going to go back and forth on the mat. And this is designed to disrupt your normal flow. It is the full moon. The full moon is going to disrupt our normal flow, I guess. Well, we're used to doing sun salutations, so we're going to do this just to disrupt our body and get it moving in new and different ways. All right. So the first few rounds are going to feel really familiar, and then we'll change it up a little bit. All right. Standing in mountain pose at the front of the mat. Feet are in hips width distance apart. You can check that by putting 2 fists in between the balls of the feet. Imagine you have 2 blocks on the outer edges of the feet and you're trying to push them away. From here, make sure your spine is nice and tall. Inhale here. Exhale to release your shoulders down. Inhale, lift your arms above your head. From here, we'll stretch to the left. Come back up to center. Stretch to the right. Back up to center. Exhale into a forward fold. Inhale, hands on shins, nice long flat back. Exhale into a forward fold. Plant your hands on the mat and we'll take our left leg back. So we're in a low lunge. We'll drop that left back knee down, release the tops of the feet onto the mat. So you're in a nice right angle with the front knee. We'll lift the arms up into the air for Anjaneyasana. You can grab the thumbs. You can touch the thumbs together if you'd like. You can gaze at your thumbs for a gentle back bend. You can also incorporate the same wrist grab as before and make tiny little stretches to the left and to the right. Making sure your hips are nice and square. Making sure you feel that stretch in this front thigh. If you cannot feel stretch in the front thigh, try to lean a little bit forward into that front knee. Not too far. All right, exhaling here, we'll frame that front foot. Tuck those back toes under. And we'll kick this front foot back to meet the back, downward facing dog. Inhaling, rolling forward to plank. Exhaling, lowering the knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra. And pressing back to downward facing dog. Lifting the left leg in the air. Same leg we brought back before. Go ahead and bring that to the front in between your hands. So you're in a low lunge on the opposite side. From here, we'll drop that back knee down, release the tops of the toes down to the mat. Make sure your knee is above your ankle. We'll inhale the arms above the head, pushing into the bottom of the feet. And pushing the shin into the mat. From here, you can bring your thumbs together. You can gently gaze at your thumbs for a back bend. You can also grab your wrist here and gently stretch to the left and to the right. And exhaling to frame that front foot. Kick that back foot back to come back into our low lunge. We'll take that back foot, kick it back up front. You're in your forward fold at the front of the mat. Inhale, hands on shins, nice long flat back. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale to gently roll up to stand. Release your hands to either side. And that's one round. Okay. Now the right side. Standing in mountain pose at the front of the mat, pressing those feet into the ground. Inhale the arms into the air. Exhale, stay in the air, please. Grab your, we're just gonna stretch left and right. Whew. Stretch to the left. Come back to center. Stretch to the right. Come back to center. From here, let's fold forward. Inhale, hands on shins, nice long flat back. Exhale to fold forward, plant your hands. This time we'll take the right leg back behind you. Low lunge. Drop that back knee back behind you. Bring the top of the foot to the mat. Nice and sturdy here, pushing into the mat, feeling the squareness of the hips and the sturdiness in the hips. Lift the arms above the head. From here, I want you to have a space between your hands and imagine you're holding a giant beach ball. No, a medium-sized beach ball. So your hands are shooting out from your shoulders. Keeping on to that imaginary beach ball, go ahead and gently sway your arms over and stretch. You can stretch your arms over to the left and stretch your right side. You can do the other side. We'll do both sides right now. And then come back to center. Keeping that nice, sturdy, strong base. Reaching those arms over to the other side with that invisible beach ball. Inhaling back to center. Exhale to fold forward. Tuck those back toes under, so we're back in our low lunge. We'll kick this front foot back to meet the back, downward facing dog. Inhaling, rolling forward to plank pose. Exhaling your knees, chest, and chin to the mat. Inhale for a low cobra. And press back for downward facing dog. Inhaling the right leg into the air, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend that knee, swing the foot forward in between your hands. Help it if you need to, so you're in your low lunge. Drop that back knee down, release the tops of the feet, tops of the foot into the mat. Having a nice, sturdy, strong base, press into the ground here to lift the body up into the air. Again, holding that imaginary beach ball. We'll reach it over to the left, feeling those intercostal muscles stretch, feeling the strength in the hips and in the shin and in the bottom of the foot. Inhaling to center, exhaling to the other side. Inhaling back to center, exhaling to frame that front foot. We're going to tuck the back toe under. Come into that low lunge again. This time we'll take the front foot, hip back to the back, downward facing dog. Go ahead and come into a plank position. We'll drop the knees, chest and chin. Inhale for a low cobra and press back to downward facing dog. We'll step or hop to the front of the mat so you're in a forward fold at the front of the mat. Inhale, hands on shins, nice long flat back. Exhale to fold forward. And inhale back to standing pose. Release your arms to your sides, release your legs. I'm going to have a drink of water. All right. Okay, let's go through moon salutations fully. All right, standing in mountain pose at the front of the mat, pressing into the feet. We'll lift the arms into the air. From here, imagine that medium-sized beach ball is in between your hands. We're going to go ahead and stretch over to the left, keeping that ball in between your hands, opening that chest up, pushing both feet into the mat, inhaling back to center, exhaling to the other side, holding that beach ball, reaching through those intercostal muscles. Coming back to center. Instead of folding forward, we're going to take our left foot and come back on the mat. We're going to come into goddess pose, bending in the knees, bending in the elbows. Make sure you're sitting back into your hips. You're not too far forward. You got a nice sturdy base here. More like you're sitting on a chair, less like you're making a pose. All right. From here, we're going to come up into star pose. Then we're going to reach all the way forward to the right. Drop our hands down for triangle pose. Breathing here. See if you can reach those arms in either direction. See if you can really feel that pull at the center of your body here, maybe where your belly button is. Reaching your body up so that the top half of your torso is extended sideways and the bottom is straight up and down. From here, we'll windmill this top arm down, and we'll kind of maneuver our feet so they're pointing toward the front of the mat. You can kick this back foot in a little bit if you'd like. We want both feet on the mat, preferably your heels down, if you can make them. If you'd like to reach for some blocks in your hands, Might make it a little easier for me. Make sure you take that front hip and reach it back towards the back of the room. Make sure you are not holding any tension in your neck. You can nod your head yes, you can shake your head no. This is pyramid pose. Remove any props you may have and keep that back foot back a little bit. We're going to drop the knee down again and keep your toes tucked this time. We'll lift our arms up for Anjaneyasana again. Exhale to frame that front foot. This time we're going to move both hands inside that front foot. We're going to extend the back leg back. So you can tuck those toes up under again and just kind of maneuver your feet around so we can go into like a side squat. I, for one, like to heel toe my feet together as much as possible and just kind of bend the one knee here. Of course, you can keep this heel down if you're able and just kind of come into a side squat this way, whichever you prefer. Keeping both hands on the inside here, we'll lift the left arm into the air, opening that chest up, option to rotate that heel so that the foot is pointed upward. Exhaling, windmilling that leg back or that hand back down. We're just gonna walk over and side lunge on the other side. So whatever you did to the first side, go ahead and do to the other side. Lifting that arm into the air. Then we'll windmill the arm back down and we'll kind of rotate our bodies around. So we're now in our Anjaneyasana, but towards the back of the room. Lifting those arms into the air. Exhaling here to come into our pyramid pose. We can kick that back foot towards us a little bit. Grab blocks if you'd like. Feeling that front hip, Feeling that front hip pulling back behind you. From here, we'll come in a triangle pose. You can maneuver your feet so that they're face the front of the room. I'm sorry. Back foot should face the side of the mat. Front foot should face the back of the mat. Lifting that arm back up into the air. Breathing triangle. And your next inhale will come back into star pose. Maneuver those feet so they're towards the side of the room. And then we'll exhale down into goddess. And heel toe your feet out to the side if you're more comfortable. And then from goddess, we'll kick this foot. So we're now standing in the back of the mat. Your arms can be up above your heads if you'd like. Yes, please have them there. We'll just stretch to the left again. Come back to center and stretch to the right again. Come back to center. Release your arms down. All right, standing in mountain pose at this side of the mat. We'll inhale the arms up. Again, holding onto that beach ball, reaching to the left. Inhaling center, reaching to the right. Inhaling back to center. Exhaling your legs out to the side, coming into goddess pose, sitting back in those hips. Inhaling for star, just reach those arms out. And extend those knees. Point your right foot towards the front of the mat. We'll reach forward and then down, coming into triangle pose. Breathing here. We'll windmill the arms down. We'll kick that back leg to the front. We'll come into pyramid pose. Make sure you're not holding any tension in your neck here. And pull that front hip backwards in space. From here, we can drop that back knee down. Lift the arms up into Anjaneyasana. Exhale your hands down, but come into the interior of your front foot. We'll rotate it to the side and we'll come into a side lunge, whatever that means to you. Placing one hand into the ground, lifting that other arm into the air. Exhaling that arm back down, walking yourself over. You can pause in a wide-legged forward fold if you'd like. And you can exhale down to your side lunge on the other side. Pressing that hand into the ground, pressing the other into the sky. Exhale that hand down. We'll maneuver our hands over to frame that back foot towards the back of the mat. We'll kick that back foot up and we'll come into pyramid pose. Reaching both heels towards the mat. Reaching that forehead towards your shin. Stretching that back calf. From here, you can kick that back foot back a little bit, maybe point the toes towards the side of the mat. And we'll come into triangle pose. On your next inhale, we'll rotate our feet towards the side of the mat. Bring your hands out to the side for star. Exhaling down into goddess pose. And we can inhale back up into a standing pose at the back of the mat. Exhale to release your arms down. Give yourself a little shake out. I'm gonna let the dog out. All right. Standing in mountain pose at the back of the mat. Let's lift the arms into the air. Holding on to that invisible beach ball. Go ahead and bend to one side. Inhale back up. Exhale down to the other side. Inhale back up. Exhale, open your legs out for goddess pose, sitting down into the hips. Inhale up for star pose. Exhale to reach forward and then down for triangle. Inhaling here. Uh-oh, it's gonna be dog chaos. Exhale to rotate that hand down and frame that front foot. Kick that back foot in a little bit so you're in pyramid pose, reaching both heels down to the mat. From here, you can kick that back foot back a little bit, drop that front foot down, front knee down to the mat. Inhale your arms into the air for Anjaneyasana. Exhale to frame that front foot. Go ahead and maneuver your hands so they're on the interior of your foot. We'll come into a side lunge. Moving your feet around, whatever that means to you. Breathing here. From here, you can push yourself back up, so you're in a wide-legged forward fold, the side of the mat. And then push yourself back down into a side lunge on the other side. Right here. Right here. When you're ready, you can frame that front leg and just kind of rotate your body around. We'll drop that back knee down and we'll come into an Anjaneyasana on this side. Exhaling down to frame that front foot. Tucking those back toes in and kicking that foot forward a little bit for pyramid pose. Go ahead and kick your foot back out. Point those toes to the side of the mat. Keep your other toes pointed towards the back of the mat and come into triangle pose. From triangle, we'll open back up into star pose. Exhaling into goddess again. This time we'll take the back foot and kick our way up to the front of the mat, standing in a mountain pose at the front of the mat. You can exhale your arms to either side. Give yourself a little shake out. Okay, go through that one more time. It is disruptive. I feel disrupted. All right, standing in a mountain pose at the front of your mat. Let's lift the arms into the air. This time, let's grab the right wrist with the left hand and reach that right arm over top. Coming back to center. Switch the position of your arms. Go ahead and lift that left arm over top. Breathing here. Coming back to center. Releasing your hands into the air. Imagining that giant beach ball. Then rotating your pinkies towards each other so your palms are facing the back of the room. From here, we'll take the left leg, kick it back behind you, and come into goddess pose. And make sure you don't have duck butt and you're not sinking into your hips here. You're nice and sturdy. From here, we'll come into star pose. Reaching forward and then down for triangle pose. Rotating your hand down to frame that front foot, kick that back foot in, pyramid pose. Get that back foot back a little, drop that back knee down, lift your arms in the air for Anjaneyasana. Exhale to frame that front foot with your hands. Reach your hands over to the interior of your foot and maneuver into a side lunge. Let's call it a side lunge. On your next inhale, let's come into a wide-legged forward fold. Breathing here. Exhaling into a side lunge on the other side. Keeping your hands at the interior of your foot. Option to lift your arm in the air. When you're ready, you can maneuver your hands so that they're framing the front foot and rotate your foot so that it's pointing towards the back of the room. I said front foot, I meant back foot. From here, we'll drop that back knee down and come into Anjaneyasana, holding your hands into the air. Exhaling here to frame that front foot, tuck the back toes under, kick that back foot up a little bit so you're in pyramid pose. Pulling those heels down towards the mat here. From here, you can kick that back foot back. You can point those toes towards the long end of the mat. We'll come into triangle pose, reaching your arms into the air. On your next inhale, we'll come into star. Exhale down into goddess, keeping that sacrum nice and straight. Your next inhale, push yourself to the back of the room, lifting those hands into the air. Exhaling your arms to either side. Sitting in mountain pose at the back of your mat. We'll inhale the arms into the air. Grab the right wrist with the left hand. We'll lift the arms over to the right side. On your next inhale, you can come back to center. Switch the crossing of the arms, grab the opposite wrist, and exhale over to the opposite side. Come back to center. And on your next exhale, kick that right leg out and come into goddess pose. Nice long sacrum, no duck butt. Inhaling into star pose. Exhaling forward and then down for triangle. Reaching that arm into space. Exhale to frame that front foot. Kick that back foot in a little bit so that your heels are touching the mat for pyramid pose. Go ahead and lower that back knee down. Lift your arms in the air for Anjaneyasana. Exhale to frame that front foot. Move the hands to the interior of the foot and maneuver yourself so you're in a side lunge. On your next exhale, press yourself into a wide-legged forward fold. We'll exhale into a side lunge on the other side. From here, we'll rotate to the back of the mat. We'll drop that back knee and inhale into Anjaneyasana. You can exhale to frame that front foot, kick that back foot back forward, reaching your heels towards the mat. In pyramid pose. Kick that back foot back a little and we'll rotate into triangle on this side. Your next inhale will come into star pose. Exhale into goddess. Again, nice long sacrum. Inhale into a standing pose. Exhale, hands to either side. Okay. And then starting in the back of the mat. Inhale your arms up into the air. Stretch to the left. center, stretch to the right, center. From here, pick your legs out, goddess pose, nice long sacrum. Inhale, star pose. Exhale, triangle. Inhale, frame that front foot, kick the foot back, pyramid pose. Exhale, drop that back knee down, Anjaneyasana. Inhaling here. Exhaling to frame that front foot. Come into your side lunge. And on your next exhale, come into a wide-legged forward fold. Inhaling here. Exhale down into your side lunge on the opposite side. Rotate your hands around and come into an Anjaneyasana. Exhaling to frame that front foot. Let's kick that back foot forward. And we'll do a lovely pyramid pose here. Picking that back foot back a little, come into triangle. Try not to fall over. On your next inhale, we'll come into star pose. Exhale, goddess. Inhale, star. Exhale, goddess. Inhale, star. Do one more like that. Exhaling to goddess pose. On your next inhale, come back to the front of the mat. Exhaling your hands to either side. Give yourself a little kick, foot up. Foot kick out, foot kick out. Excellent, 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 excellent. All right. All right, we're gonna do a half moon pose, which is very much like a warrior three pose. And we've done it many times before. So whatever's most comfortable for you, I'm going to come into it from a forward fold. That's just more comfortable for me. If you'd rather come into it from a nice low lunge and kick that back foot up, you're more than welcome to. I guess that was easy for me. So whichever way you'd like to do it, you get a standing leg, maybe your left leg in front, right leg back behind you. We're going to open the hips up here so that your back foot is horizontal to the mat. We're going to drop the left hand to the mat or a block. Right hand, you have a lot of options for here. If you'd like it to be on a block, you're more than welcome to. If you'd like to stretch it into the air, and you have that ability, please do. You can also drape it over your head. And if you can drape your arm over your head while your foot is back behind you, you are more balanced than I am. And when you're ready, you can drop that foot down, either join it in the front for a forward fold or in the back for a lunge, whatever you prefer. We'll switch the feet, opposite foot on your standing foot, and kick back from a lunge, or you can just swing your foot back from a forward fold, whichever you prefer. From here, we're going to open the hips up. A little easier this side. Open the hips up here. And make sure that foot is horizontal and parallel to the mat. Your right hand can reach for a block or the mat. Your left hand can reach into the air or drape in front of you. And when you're ready, we'll swing that foot forward. So we're in a forward fold. Give your hips a little shake out here. And when you're ready, we'll do a couple balancing poses. And start with tree if you'd like. We'll take our left leg, press it firmly into the mat, feeling all four corners of the foot pressing into the ground. Opposite foot can kickstand at the ankle. Place the bottom of the foot against the calf, or really pressing that heel into the inner thigh. As long as your foot is not touching your knee, you should be fine. Your hands can be at your hips at heart center, or branches blowing in the breeze, whichever you prefer. You have 8 good breaths on each leg. When you're ready, you can release your foot from your leg, bring it out in front of you, see if you can reach a little higher, maybe a little higher, and then let it go. Shake out that standing leg, maybe give yourself a little massage on your calves. We'll take the opposite foot onto the mat, placing all four corners onto the ground, really pressing in here. And kickstand that heel against your ankle. You can bring the bottom of the foot to the calf, or you can press your heel into your inner thigh, as long as your foot is not touching your knee. Hands can be at heart center, at your hips, or branches blowing in the breeze. 8 good breaths here. When you're ready, you can remove your foot from your inner thigh, bring that knee forward, maybe kick it out to the front, maybe bring it up a little high and then a little higher, and then let it go. Bye, bye, I love you. All right, what time is it? All right. I don't know what to do. Let's start at the front of the mat. We'll go through a round of sun salutations just to make us feel like we've done a yoga class. Relax your arms to your sides. We'll inhale our arms above our heads. Exhaling to fold forward. Inhale, hands on shins, nice long flat back. Exhale, fold forward, plant your hands, step back to downward facing dog. From here, roll forward to plank. Exhale, lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra. Exhaling, pressing back to downward facing dog. Inhaling the right leg into the air, 3-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee, swing the foot forward, help it if you need to. From here, rotate that back heel down, lift your arms up for warrior one. Make sure that knee is above the ankle. Nice right angle in that front leg. Exhale, frame that front foot. Kick this front foot back to meet the back. Downward facing dog. Roll forward to plank. Exhale, lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhale for a low cobra. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg into the air, 3-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knees, swing the foot forward. Help it if you need to. Turn a nice low lunge. From here, rotate that back heel down, pressing into the ground. Lift the top half of your body up to warrior one. Breathing here. Exhaling your hands down to frame that front foot. Kick this front foot back to meet the back, downward facing dog. Rolling forward to plank pose. Exhale, lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhale for a low cobra. And exhale, pressing back to downward facing dog. Give your hips a little shake out here. From here, we'll lift that right leg into the air again for three-legged dog. This time we'll bend the knee, swing the shin forward, and set yourself up for pigeon. Lift your chest nice and high into the air and roll down to release into the mat. On your next inhale, you can lift your chest into the air. Maneuver your knee back behind you. Come back into downward facing dog. On your next inhale, roll forward to plank. Exhale, lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhale for a low cobra. And exhale, press back into downward facing dog. This time, we'll lift the left leg into the air, three-legged dog. Exhale, swing that shin forward, set yourself up for pigeon pose. Lift that chest in the air and exhale down. When you're ready, you can lift your arms up and maneuver that leg back behind you. Compress yourself up into downward facing dog. And if you'd like, you can roll forward to plank. Lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhale for a low cobra. And exhale back to downward facing dog. On your next inhale, you can roll forward to plank. And just lower yourself down in one swift motion. From here, go ahead and rest your forehead on either your hands or the mat. And go ahead and give your hips a little shake out. See if you can zip your legs together from thighs to toes. We'll go ahead and reach the hands back behind you. You can interlace your hands behind your back, or you can just reach your hands back behind you, whichever you prefer. On your next inhale, we'll lift the head, neck, and chest into the air. Breathing here. Then inhale the legs into the air, reaching the feet and the hands back behind you. Locust pose. Go ahead and release your body down. Give your hips a little shake, left and right. And go ahead and bend one leg, reaching for that foot with your hand. Holding that heel towards your bottom. If this isn't a deep enough stretch for you, you can always lift that knee off the mat. And you can go ahead and let that leg go. Go ahead and bend the other leg. Grab it with the opposite hand. And stretch that heel toward the bone. If this isn't intense enough for you, you can always lift that knee into the air. Go ahead and release that foot from the hand. Got a puppy on your mat, go ahead and kick it. Now you can bend both feet, both knees in, grab your feet with your hands, and breathe here for a moment. And when you're ready, and inhale, we'll lift the head, neck, and chest up and kick the feet into the hands as hard as possible. Breathe here. And when you're ready, you can release your feet down, release your arms, release your head, give your butt a little hip shake from side to side. And we can roll over onto our backs. When you're on your back, go ahead and hug your knees into your chest. You can rock yourself back and forth. You can give yourself a little back massage by making circles with your knees. When you're ready, you can drop those feet down so they're about hips width distance and gently windshield wiper out your legs. And when you're ready to go ahead and come to center, we'll take the right leg, place the right ankle on the left knee, lift the left leg into the air so that the shin is parallel with the mat. If you're happy here, you can stay. If not, you can reach your arms through and lift that left thigh towards your body. From here, you can press that right knee away from you with your right elbow. And if this still isn't deep enough, you can always slightly rotate your hips back and forth and looking for a spot that maybe feels a little bit more stuck or a little bit more sore that you can release. Make sure both feet are flexed here. And when you're ready, you can release your arms, release your legs back down, windshield wiper your knees back and forth. Change the crossing of the legs, bringing the left ankle to the right knee, lifting the right knee into the air. Bringing our hands behind the right thigh, and pressing that left knee away from you with your left elbow. Both feet are flexed here. You can bring that thigh in nice and close. And again, if you can't quite find a place to stretch, you can always gently maneuver your hips back and forth. Maybe rolling from side to side until you feel a spot that's particularly sore, particularly stuck. On your next exhale, you can release your hands, release your legs. Go ahead and windshield wiper out those knees again. From here, we're going to hug the knees into the chest. And then gently pick one side to drop down for a gentle twist. This isn't deep enough for you. You can always cross the top leg over the bottom. On your next inhale, you can lift your knees into the center. And exhale, rotate down to the opposite side. On your next inhale, you can bring your knees back to center. You can go ahead and rock yourself back and forth, hugging those knees into the chest, nice and tight. You can drop those feet to the ground and just gently windshield wiper your knees back and forth. Look. From here, we'll grab the right knee, extend the left leg out. We're just going to bring the right knee over to the left side of the body, leaving both hips pressed against the mat. Just crossing the body with this right knee. And then I'll go ahead and open the right knee out to the right side. And on your next exhale, bring that knee back to center. You'll switch the legs, extend that right leg out, bring that left knee in, hug it in nice and close. And we'll just bring that left knee over to the right side of the body, keeping both hips on the mat. On your next exhale, we'll open the hip out to the side. Both hips still on the mat. And your next exhale, bring both legs into your chest. Breathe out nice. Low. And then we'll extend both legs out in front of you. We'll extend the arms out above your head. Again, we'll take that right hand, grab that left wrist, and bring that left arm over to the right side. In addition, we'll go ahead and cross that left ankle over the right for crescent moon pose. On your next exhale, you can bring your arms back to center, uncross your legs, grab your right wrist with your left arm, and go ahead and bring that right arm over to the left side, crossing that right ankle over your left. And next exhale, you can bring your arms back to center. You can bring your feet back to center. We'll bring our arms to our sides. We'll go ahead and bend your knees in and bring your bottoms of your feet together and your knees splayed out to the side. This is Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined goddess pose. Your heels can be as close to your body as you're comfortable. They can be really far down. They can be close up top here. Or just, if you have sensitive legs or knees, go ahead and put your hands on your thighs as a gentle support. If you have blocks, of course, you can put them under your knees, under your thighs, a book, a pillow, a rolled up blanket. Just breathe here for a few breaths. Now is your opportunity to stay in reclined goddess pose. You can gently lift your knees together, maybe use your hands to help you, and extend your legs out and go into your final resting pose. Or you can take these last few minutes as an opportunity to get in any pose you felt maybe you didn't get to do. We didn't do any inversions. If you'd like to bring your legs up into the air, maybe a supported shoulder stand, maybe legs against the wall, or just relax into your final resting pose. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and release into your final resting pose, Shavasana. You can start to introduce small movements into your fingers and toes. When you're ready, you can roll onto one side, using your arm as a pillow. And take one breath in the fetal position. From there, you can use that same slow quality of movement to come up to a seated position. Go ahead and bring our hands to heart center for Om. Before we inhale for Om, go ahead and take a moment to thank yourself for coming to yoga tonight. I want to take a moment to thank you. And go ahead and revisit whatever affirmation you said to yourself at the beginning of class. Go ahead and inhale for Om. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Namaste.